and welcome back to another Talking into Profits show where I am joined by the amazing Yuval Ackerman today. And we are so glad to have you here because this is the show where we bring together brilliant experts like Yuval to have those meaningful conversations around topics that are going to truly transform your business and make a freaking difference. And it's all up to date tactics and little methods that you can use. And that's one big thing for us today because we know with email that a lot of you are following outdated email practices and they're killing your results, which is why I asked you all here today. And she's going to be answering your most pressing questions from both her, from me. And if anyone is here with us, because we always like to know we're working and tech's working, doing what it should do, let us know where you're joining in from us today and that you hear us okay. And we also love it that you join the conversation. So drop your thoughts, your opinions, your questions into the comments. Be aware we do have a little bit of a lag before we see them, but we will get them answered throughout the show because you are also a part of the conversation. And today, of course, I just said I'm talking to Yuval. She's my email guru. And I say that, don't say that lightly, because for me, guru is like the little wise person on the mountaintop that you really go to that has the right advice. It's not like the fake ones that everybody likes to call that. So Yuval is mine. But she is also the ethical email marketer, and she challenges all of these best practices, gives actionable better practices, and they're all deep rooted into consent-based marketing, human-centric marketing, human being the operative word, guys. You know how heavy I am on that as well. Oh, Megan's seeing us. Yay, thank you, Megan from Scottsdale. And I didn't know this one, Yuval, but in your spare time, you are a songwriter and music producer. How did I not know that?
I don't know. I don't know. But it's been a while. I've been traveling and nomading around the world for the past 2 years and counting. So it's been on hold. It's been on hold.
I must hear some of your music sometime because I did not know that one, but I
Send you
would love
some.
to.
I'll
I,
send you
I
some secret, unreleased stuff. Yes.
Ooh, I'd love to know that. And as guys, if you don't know, Yuval is a massive pasta lover. I am as well, but she shares pasta recipes on her newsletter, sometimes in her shows, all kinds of stuff. So if you're a pasta lover, make sure you get over there. But thank you so much for joining me today. I am thrilled, excited to have you here. Share your your experiences around the best email practices that get results today.
I am very, very happy to be back. I was here exactly 1 year ago, and oh man, things have changed for both of us, for sure, but definitely in the email marketing world as well. And I'm very much looking forward to unpack so many things with you in the next couple of minutes. I'm sure we'll get a lot of really saucy information out there.
Oh, I know. You were just telling me before we went live of this amazing stat that you just got a client a while back. And I mean, I'm just throwing that out there as a teaser. We are not talking about it right now, but stay tuned. And by the way, everyone, don't forget to follow and connect with Yuval on LinkedIn. It's one of the best places to find her. Dropping her link into the chat if you don't already have it. But now, for those of you joining us live, pop into the comments. What's something you wish you could improve about your email marketing right now? Let us know what you'd love to improve. And we're going to dive in while we're letting you answer that question. Oh, we got Deb here. She's from Central New York. Hi, Deb.
Hey,
So, Yuval, what is the biggest email marketing myth that's happening right now that you're going to debunk for us today?
so we have 5 of those today. But the biggest one that we have to talk about is that open rates are the metric to look at.
Yeah, I already know the answer to this one. Give it to us.
It is not the metric to look at because email open rates have not been reliable since 2021 when Apple launched its privacy filter. Let's put that in layman's terms. It hasn't been reliable even before that, but the big change happened in 2021. And I still see, unfortunately, a lot of companies and brands that are doing great things, looking at it as the metric to follow, when in fairness, a lot of the times, a lot of inbox providers are just opening and clicking on emails and inside of emails before they even reach the recipient's inbox, just to make sure that their experience is better, and just to make sure that it's not spam, you know. And so open rates, they are important to an extent, but they're definitely not reliable.
So it's basically like the impressions rate on your content. You got to take it with a grain of salt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And guys, I hope you all learned something on that one, because when you've all told me that a few months ago about that, the email providers themselves are actually opening the emails, which is increasing your open rate. I had no idea. And I was just like, yeah, because we've taught open rates end all to end all, right? For just measuring progress. So you floored me with that one. I'm sure there's going to be some more surprised people here. And let's see, Megan says actually doing A/B testing. Hmm.
I think that she was answering your question
Oh,
from before about what is the thing that
yeah.
you're struggling with at the moment. And I have a follow-up question to this. What about A/B testing do you find confusing? Or what would you love to improve in terms of your A/B testing?
Oh,
Because
answer that one, Megan. Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah, so Megan, as you're answering that, we may push your question a little down in the show, just because, so we can get through the other four myths you brought us today. So we've only
yeah.
done one. What's number two?
Myth number two is that sending more emails doesn't mean that it will actually generate more revenue for you.
Agreed. Agreed.
Um,
That's
because
like putting out more content anywhere. It's not going to guarantee.
Yeah, if you're just creating more noise, you're not necessarily going to get something out of it, other than a lot of people not necessarily being happy with you creating more noise. And I'm working with some people might consider those purpose driven brands. I call them, you know, people centric companies, or companies that are, or businesses for good, for the greater good, that care about their legacy and care about their profit, obviously, but also deeply care about people and the planet. And so just creating more noise out there is not going to really hit the right KPIs. It's always a matter of what do you send and who do you send it to, and what's the reason behind all of it. Um, so definitely just send more emails. Not the right way to approach this.
I agree. I mean, across the board on marketing, more content's not going to save you if you already don't have something that's working. So, all right. So, what about number three?
Number three is has to do with something that's called deliverability, aka the ability of your email to actually reach the recipient's inbox. Um, it's becoming technically way harder these days, because the inbox providers like Google, like Yahoo, they've been for years working on improving the user experience in their platforms, and I'm all for it. By the way, I think that our inboxes are so clogged up and so overwhelming that making it slightly harder for marketers to reach the inbox. Reaching the inbox, let's just put it this way, it's a privilege.
Agreed.
And conversing and communicating with your audience is a privilege. And the fact that those inbox providers are making things a little bit harder enforces or requires us, the marketers, to think better about the end user, which is our subscriber and hopefully our client or customer or consumer. And so um, just reaching the inbox is becoming really, really more difficult. And so I want to talk about specifically a myth of resend an email to people who haven't opened the email in, let's say, 2, 3 hours. Deliverability is calculated I'm not going to get into specifics,
Keep
but
it, keep us layman terms on this one.
I'll keep it light. Okay. Deliverability is calculated depending on the level of engagement, the percentage of engagement with however many emails you sent out there. So if you're sending more emails and the engagement rates with those emails, the real engagement rates is lower, than resending the email to people who haven't opened the email in the first place can decrease your deliverability, can decrease what is called the domain reputation. So you're basically shooting your shot, increasing the how many emails you're sending. The engagement rate is dropping. And remember that we said maybe like 5 minutes ago that open rates are not reliable. So
Yeah,
why would you send an email again to people who may or may not opened your email already?
that is huge because I know a lot of people use the resend feature, and I admit I've done it back in the day, but I stopped doing it about a year ago because I'm already like, if they didn't open it the first time, that maybe they missed it, but more than likely it just means they weren't interested in that particular one. And why am I going to bombard it with them again? And plus, if I really think it's that valuable, I can copy and paste and repurpose it again later, and a few months from now, and try it again.
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot of email service providers, so the softwares through which you send your emails, they will actually either recommend you to do that, or they will have features built in to just click on a couple of buttons and the email is being resent. Um, Test it, like everything. Test it if it's working for your audience. Generally speaking, I don't think that's the way to go.
I agree. I mean, I did have, whenever I was using it about a year ago, it did actually increase my click through rate on the actual, but was it worth the effort of how many I bombarded them with? I don't feel like it was. And so that was my big reason for letting it go. Everybody, as always, we do recommend nothing we say here is set in stone. You got a method that's working better than we recommend, then do it. But
Yep.
we look on the lines of what's ethical, what's kind to people, and how we can have more consent and more control in our inboxes and marketing in general.
And more
So,
trust, which is, I think, something
yeah.
that we definitely need to talk more about. And another thing is that what's working for different brands and different audiences is working for them. And so, even though I'm talking about what's working and what I see that is working for my clients, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's working for your clients or your audiences. Test everything and have a plan for testing to actually see what, or to basically figure out what it is that you want to learn about your audience.
And speaking of testing, that kind of segues us back to Megan, who's answered us on this one. She says, I'm a copywriter and I have little power to push A B testing that falls to the email guys. And for whatever reason, no time, they don't see the value. We rarely do. That's my challenge.
Oh, so we have some hierarchy issues here.
Yeah.
Um, Even though I do love diving into organizational politics, we will not do that now. But I can say that how I convince some of my clients, not convince, because we're already working together. They're sold. They know that I know my stuff. Um, how I present it to my clients is, look, if this is not working, then great, then you proved your point. But if I'm right about what I'm seeing, and the data usually grossly doesn't lie, if you know how to look at your data properly, um, then if I'm right, then it's a win-win for everyone, right? Because then we're getting more engagement with our emails, we're getting more conversions, and we have a path forward that is way, way better than what we've done so far. So, how I would present that if I were in your shoes, Megan, is I would say, look, guys, if you're right, great. Like you proved your point. But if I'm right, then we're all winning, really, because our audience is happier, we're happier because we have more data points. And when it comes to the bottom line, like everything ticks the right box, right? So it's a win-win-win situation.
It really is. And I mean, if we don't test something, how can we know for a fact what we're doing is working as good as it possibly can? New techniques, new methods, testing, trying, experimenting. I mean, I don't know about you, but well, I do know about you. You and I are always trying new things. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always actually telling my, because some of my clients like to look at what I'm doing. And I don't know if you give them this advice, but I like, be careful with if you're just looking at it without asking me questions, because I'm potentially testing something that may or may not, I don't know if it's going to work yet. So I'm always like, ask me before you use it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had multiple subscribers of mine, actually. This is quite funny, who see what I'm doing and are inspired by what I'm doing, and they're trying it themselves just because they like it, without asking me, which results in well, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes for their email marketing, but as an end user myself, it doesn't necessarily make sense for me as an audience. So definitely, if you have a professional in your corner, try new things when you have a strategy behind that, please.
Yeah, definitely on that one. Let's see, Elena, I just started my newsletter, so I really know very little. I've always been curious how emails get to promotional instead of inbox.
That is a very good question, Elena. Thank you for asking that. To be honest, it's not a very easy topic to understand. Let's just put it this way: everything that you as a brand is sending out is considered promotional marketing email. And this is pretty much um, where your email needs to land either way. And so I wouldn't be worried about emails landing in promotional tabs, because a lot of people are actually looking at them, and quite frequently as well, because this is where they expect to see marketing emails
I
to
do.
land. You know, I check my promotional tab and my spam folder every, well, I'm an exception. I'm a bit addicted to my inboxes, plural, but I check them all the time. And people do, and there are a lot of studies about the percentages, very high percentages of people who actually look at those tabs. I wouldn't be worried about that. And you know, it's what it is. Trying to reinvent the wheel here is pointless. Just work on improving your connection and relationships with your subscribers. That's what I would actually care about.
Yeah, and another thing, Elena, if you really want it to get in their inbox instead of the promotional, personally, I'm okay with it being in the promotional as well. I check those regularly. I mean, for me, the spam is where I'd be worried, not the promotional one. But if you can encourage your people, of course, to move it to their inbox if you want them to see it there.
Which
But
not a lot of people do, really, because it takes a lot of effort. So just try to encourage people to engage and click on things in your email. That would be your best bet, really.
yeah, because the more they engage with it, the more likelihood it's going to be in the inbox because they obviously appreciate it and want to see it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, very, very cool on that one. Okay, I think we've covered three of the five, Miss. We'll get to some more
Correct.
comments here. Let's get on to number four.
Number four, the person's or the subscriber's first name is enough in terms of personalization.
Yes, this is the one I'm working on because I'm still a little, I'm trying to get it worked out through the email. But what do you recommend now?
I recommend getting curious about your subscribers and meeting them where they're at in their inbox journey with you. And that means sending them personalized emails depending on where they're at. You know, if I'll give you a very extreme example, right? Let's say that you're an e-com brand and someone just subscribed to your email list, and then immediately, which doesn't happen very often, they go ahead and they purchase something off of your website. then obviously that would trigger a post purchase sequence with what they bought, when it's expected, hopefully how, amping up their excitement about what they just bought, etc., how to use it or whatever. But I see sometimes, that brands actually send two sequences at once. Because remember what happened here. Someone signed up for the email list, maybe to get a discount or something, and then they used the discount, or maybe haven't, gotten from the email to actually purchasing something off of the website. So the wrong triggers are there, or either there are wrong triggers here, or something is not set up fully,
Yeah,
as
that's
it's
for
supposed
me.
to be.
It's they're not all set up fully, and that's I'm working.
Exactly.
I'm working on that with you. So
Exactly. So you want to really personalize the journey as a whole, but you also want to personalize the emails themselves. So let's say if I bought, let's think of something really okay. If I bought a pair of shoes from a brand, the last thing I would expect to see in their follow up emails, or even in their cross sell emails, is the same type of shoes.
yes, yeah, yeah. And I actually had an email, and I'm not going to call out who the other day, but I had an email the other day. I've already purchased, and I'm still getting emails inviting me to purchase. I'm just like, wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
a
there's nothing.
customer. Start treating me like one now.
Exactly. And it's not about, let's be frank here. There's nothing wrong with trying to sell and cross sell and upsell to your subscribers.
But not the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, not recognizing that I bought the thing they're still trying to sell me is just total. I mean, it makes me not want their emails in my inbox, because now I'm getting the ones where I've signed up, and I'm getting the ones where they're still inviting me to buy. So it makes them look like they don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. So you want to personalize the journey as a whole and understand your customers, aka your subscribers, better. But you also want to make sure that the content that they have inside each email suits their part of your journey with you as a brand.
Very cool. And number 5.
Number 5, the subject line or the hook is the most important thing in your email. And you know
Okay.
what I'm going to say, so maybe
I
I'll
do. I'll let you tell
maybe
them.
no. Maybe I'll hand it off to you to see if my education has been efficient.
What? Well, I know you don't believe the subject line is the most important anymore.
So what would you say is the most important part of the email to get it opened?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to get it, you want. I'm drawing a blank on this one right this minute. It's probably because you put me on the spot, or it's been a false
I'm
brain.
sorry.
I'm going
I'm
to be perfectly
sorry.
honest. I was giving myself a break. I'm like, I do know this one. Where is it? Okay, you're going to have to take it.
All right. It's the sender's name.
That's right. Yes. I was like, I know this one. It is easy. Yeah, because that builds trust if they recognize who it's from.
Exactly. And also whether it's coming from a person or from a brand, or maybe a brand, a person in the brand. So giving some kind of a familiar face, or a um, familiarity, I would say, when it comes to emails coming from someone, anyone really.
Yeah, our viewers have got better memory than I do right now. Yes, Deb and
Hmm.
Nancy, both is the name. Yeah. So,
Exactly.
well done, guys. I actually knew that one, but it was not coming.
It's
But
been a long day for both of us. It's fine.
I have that selective menopause brain. Not to get into that, where it's just gone, and all of a sudden I feel stupid.
That's
Um,
all right. You're not
but
stupid.
yeah,
Come on.
I mean, we should have done this whole show on just these 5. I mean, this I want to go even deeper in juiciness, but we promised them 2 more. I mean, whew. Ugh. Okay, so we, We should have thought this one through a little more, Yuval. Going back here, let me go back and catch up here. We've got Deb in here. She says, "I only occasionally use resend." She's responding to that to non-openers, but not within a couple of hours. Though I see that done quite a bit. Yeah, we all do. And then Deb again, can you share a few things to A/B test? Subject lines, length of email, visuals, no visuals. What others do you recommend?
Oh, there are so many things to A/B test, really. And I mean it. Like you can A/B test every single component and block of your email, but it really depends on what is it that you want to understand as a result, right? So I can give you an example from today, right? I'm about to send an email for a client, and what we're testing right now is understanding whether or not people are clicking on a call to action on a button in the email if it's right in front of them without scrolling. So what we call in with our jargon above the fold, or do or are how would I put this? My God, the words are just escaping me. Is it possible that our readers are more of the actual readers and they need the value and a chunk of context and content before they click on a call to action to continue our journey with us off of the inbox? Or is it just important for them to see something that is really, really punchy above the fold again, so without them needing to scroll, and then they're clicking? So this is something that we want to test now because this is what the data has shown us before. But again, this is something that I would advise companies to really think about because, again, you can A B test everything,
Yeah.
everything, and it can get so confusing. So, again, I would sit down and come up with a plan. What is it that we want to learn about our subscribers in the next couple of months? And then, according to that, we will adjust the A B split testing and what it looks like, really.
Well, and you just said something very key there too to remind people is that this isn't a one-off on an A/B test to really tell. You need time. I mean, as you've all just said, 2 months, so a good 6 to 8 weeks for sure, just to find out.
I
And
would
if
even say 3 months. Sorry
yeah,
to
for
interrupt
me,
you.
it's normally a minimum of 90 days is the minimum what I recommend when you're testing something. So, guys, this isn't a one time and you determine that it did or didn't work. Keep doing it. I mean, like right now, you've got me testing where we're putting the click buttons, whether they're going to more at the top, more at the bottom, making them click through a little more often. So, I may be testing that right now and have been for what almost 6 weeks now, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we'll see. Still not sure.
I have other clients who are testing whether or not their audiences are more receptive and more engaged with video content um, in their newsletters right now, and even sales emails. To be honest,
Yeah.
so this is something we can test so many different things. The question is, what has the audience shown us in the past couple of weeks or months that they're interested in, and how do we then learn even more about their preferences?
I love that. So as usual, we're just working to personalize it, improve our functionality of it, and see what happens with that. Yeah. So
And work on the personal connection, because if people are actually opening emails depending on the sender's name, then your subject line, I kid you not, could be empty, and people will still open the email if they know that it's coming from you and if they've had a good experience with your emails beforehand.
yeah, I love that. That's even just like was telling everybody in the workshop on Monday that you could not post any content online and just be in the comments with good conversation and you will still make sales. It's the same thing on the emails. You can leave
Mhm.
off your subject line as long as they recognize you, trust you, and respect you.
Yep.
So it's your reputation, people. Marketing's always your reputation.
Hell yeah.
So, everyone, this show is cast live every week on both LinkedIn and YouTube, and that's also where you catch all the replays. So, if you can't make it live, we do recommend you watch the show over there. Are you subscribed? If not, please do, because then you get notified of all our upcoming shows and let you know what's happening with that. Um, we are going to dive in. You guys keep bringing the questions to us, and we're going to move on to part two. Like I said, we could have done the 5 myths. There's so much juiciness. I wanted to dive in more there, but we know that what worked 2 years ago, you've already given us some really good examples, but let's dive into that more. What strategies and tactics that were working amazingly well, but because audience have become so much smarter, let's just start with this one. What's one email marketing tactic that you've stopped using in the last year or even in the last few months that used to work extremely well for you?
Well, I can't give you a concrete example about myself because my approach to email marketing has always been audience first and people first. And so I've always been, luckily and fortunately and wisely, I would add as well, uh, I've always been ahead of the curve. But in terms of what stopped working in the past couple of years, there are so many. Oh my goodness, where do I even start? Um, let's start with a major one, just treating email marketing as a one-way street. Just treating it
Yes.
as like a blast, like a set and forget kind of a medium where you can just get your message out there however many times you want, and just not think of the people on the other side of your message. And that's a big mindset shift, really.
I 100% agree with that one. I mean, this brings us into consent, of course, but also just humanizing marketing more and more. And I mean, we both focus heavily on that. And yes, more of it in email. I mean, and for me, I mean, maybe I think it's been since I've started working with you that I really see it as the whole cycle, the whole hub of everything connecting. And it just has made such a difference. And that goes for all marketing. I think a lot of people look at each channel as separate instead of, I mean, I connect everything, guys. Everything's flowing back and forth to each other, and emails should be the same way.
Yeah, it's an ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that word for it. I call it a cycle. I like her ecosystem. So,
To each their own.
yeah, but it's so true. And I mean, I think people really need to start realizing that all of your marketing works together, not separately. And that's an outdated tactic I'm literally seeing across the board, not even just in email marketing, but heavily there. I mean, so
Hmm.
heavily there. I mean, with the way people do email, it's still the way I've gotten emails for 10 years now.
Yep.
So, what's another one you're seeing?
I think a lot of people globally are getting really, really mad when their email is being added to a mailing list without their consent, without their
Yeah.
permission, not without their consent. These are two separate things. Permission is once, consent is ongoing. Now, in most territories around the world, legally speaking, doing that is illegal.
Yes.
Okay? Some companies will still do that, and people are done with accepting this, and people are
Hmm.
very, very easy to report those emails and those companies as spam, or even and I do
Oh,
too, and also sue them sometimes. um, Unfortunately, it is not entirely illegal in some territories of the world, so it's a bit of a gray zone. But I think that a lot of not it's not what I think. I see that a lot of people are really, really concerned about this. And I'm so happy that there's a backlash when it comes to um, just companies not respecting people's permission and consent. And this is definitely something that is, you know, how there's a trend of like, this channel is dying or this channel is now coming back to life. Channels, you know, different channels will always work, different strategies will always work, but not considering your subscribers or your audience's permission and consent is dying. And I could not be happier about that.
Me too. And I mean, I literally cleaning out of my inbox daily. I mark them all as spam. If you've added me to an email list, if anybody out there is listening and you've added me to an email list without my permission, I am marking you as spam. I am reporting you in every way I possibly can. Literally because you did not ask me. And it's usually used to cold pitch me, which I'm not interested in anyway. So, but I still respect people try to put themselves out and market in whatever way works for them. But adding people illegally to email list and spamming the heck out of them, I'm sorry, I'm marking you as spam. And the fact I got to get rid of you out of my inbox makes me mark you as spam, as junk, report you everything because you made me have to do it. So don't stop, people. Just stop it. It's not doing you any favors. I cleaned out 4 today like that.
Oh, just 4? How lucky are you?
Oh, well, that's in my business email box. We won't talk about Google, which is where, that's my my Gmail is where the majority of the emails go. I am very, very careful about giving out my work email anymore. Removed it from LinkedIn because it got scraped against the law, guys. It got scraped from LinkedIn and sold on so many of those lists. I refuse to put my business email up on LinkedIn at all anymore. It will never be there. It won't be on YouTube because of all the people doing the shitty things by scraping and stuff and non-permission based stuff. But yeah, so that's my business inbox, which is actually a lot for that in one
But
day.
again, just 4?
If you realize how little I use that one because I want to keep it clean, it's so much easier since Google sorts everything for me. Whereas my business inbox is with a private hosting company called Lyrical Host. Highly recommend them. They are one of the most ethical hosting companies I've ever worked with. Most amazing tech service. So shout out to them. I appreciate them so much. So I don't, but they're the way they have the inboxes set up. It's not sorted the way Google or Gmail does. So I use it less. It's got to be really important for you to get that email.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Let's see. So Deb says she loved your example and often wonder about the call to action placement.
Different audiences, you know. If anyone has ever in the audience live or in the replays has ever watched Ted Lasso, phenomenal TV show, really one of my favorite ones. Different people are different people, so different audiences will react differently to whatever it is you're trying to do. So test
Yeah,
it out.
notice I said we're testing where we're putting the click through buttons in my emails, and that's because we're testing it for my audience. So as always, A/B testing does pay off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, we've got someone here, a LinkedIn user. If you want to let us know who you are, it didn't come through, but please provide suggestions for emails landing in spam at Outlook, Hotmail. Do you understand this question? I don't
I
fully.
do. I do understand the question, but I can't answer this.
Okay.
I have no context, and it's and also, you know, when it comes to strictly deliverability, I have really good people. There's a reason why deliverability is a whole field inside of email marketing. I'm learning more about it as I go because obviously it's becoming increasingly more important. But I'm not a deliverability expert just yet. Whoever that LinkedIn user is, send me a message afterwards. I'm happy to connect you with deliverability experts that I trust and I collaborate with, that may be able to diagnose things faster and better than I would be able to.
Yeah, and so without diving into that too heavily, I'm going to assume that if you're landing in spam, for some reason your reputation is probably down with that particular user. So you're going to want to do things that bring it up, would be
Mm-hmm.
fair to say.
Yeah.
But because I don't think it really matters if it's Outlook or Hotmail or Gmail, or it depends on kind of sort of what you've been doing, right?
Most likely, yeah. I mean, there are always exceptions,
Yeah.
always, but like we won't be able to dive into specifics now.
Yeah, we're not going to stress it. But we gave you a little bit. Contact Yuval. Let us know who you were so we know who we can talk to you on that one. Now, everything, if you haven't given permission to restream, then we don't get to see your name as what's happening. So let's see. David said better conversion rate into more profitable opportunities. Yep, that's true. Oh, yeah. Deb was just appreciating we had done the call to action placements earlier. So yeah, so everyone, we have our monthly networking event, Connect and Collab, is hosted every last Wednesday on most months. Holidays do make exemptions. Our next one is happening March 26th. I'd like to invite all of you to join us. Join us for an hour and 15 minutes and meet more motivated, kick ass service providers and coaches who love collaborating. Sometimes you've always there as well. Free to join, and we have a combination of small group rooms with 3 to 4 people per room and some one-to-one sessions for more intimate. We'd love to have you sign up and join us. Literally, it's monthly, and everybody loves who they get to meet there. So come join us. Come see me for sure. Yuval when she's there. But let's dive into our third point about this. I know you, and this was a big one for me. I was actually surprised you brought this one to this show today because, as you said, it's a bit counterintuitive, but you can't rely on email marketing to do all the heavy lifting. This is getting ready to dive deeper into the ecosystem you were talking about. You've already hinted at it. Let's dive into that some more because you need other parts of your marketing strategy to work. We're already talking about that. But how should businesses think about integrating the email with their other marketing channels for maximum impact?
Well, you know what I'm going to answer? It depends. It really depends
You
on
know,
which marketing channels you're using, which other teams do you have in your companies. Now, I can tell you that I'm now working with a couple of bigger companies that also have CX teams, so customer or client experience teams, and sales teams. So a part of my process with them is aligning their marketing with what we are learning about our customers and clients through those teams, and then aligning whatever we're sharing through email, but also through social media, with what they're hearing. Because, of course, we can use objections that they're hearing or problems that we can address head on and head first. Um, we can and we need to get this information directly. When it comes to other marketing channels, I'm biased, and you know this. I always look at email as like the spine or the backbone of everything else. So email comes first, and this is a part of also how you attract more people to your email list because of the exclusivity of you get this first, and you get like additional perks and first dibs on things. So if we're looking at email as being the backbone of things, then this is where all the like really cool stuff is happening. And then social media is pretty much repurposed out of that way later on.
I completely agree. And the reason for the biggest reason for making email your backbone, and guys, I'm a very late adopter on email. I will own this. It was a mistake and I will own it. But I didn't start my email list until 2 years ago. But email is the reason we recommend, and I recommend this too, even through all the marketing I do. Even though I focus heavily on social media marketing, I recommend email as well because you own it and you get direct access to your users because every email you send out ends up in their inbox without fail. So it's not like social media, LinkedIn, wherever, TikTok, whatever, where it's only getting a percentage of them seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, without fail, we say email as the backbone. And I'm with you on this 100%.
Yeah. But let's not forget that, software can fail as well, and your email list need must be, whenever. So, what my trick is? Whenever a social media platform is down, I go to my email service provider, mine and my clients, and I export all of the active contacts. So, and that is happening every so often, right? That either LinkedIn is down or Instagram is down or whatever it is
Yeah.
down, right? So as soon as that happens, or Slack was down the other day, I was so busy I didn't even know this was happening. Um, so whenever this is happening, this is kind of like my trigger event to go ahead and yeah, back up all of my email lists, because obviously we just want to be sure really
Well,
with what is
I
happening.
actually I actually recommend booking it in your calendar twice a year because, and the reason I didn't used to do that. I used to just back it up like you said, but it was not this year. It was let's see, we're 2025. It was 23. Whenever LinkedIn and all of Meta went down at the same time, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, everything went down. Active Campaign also went down at the same time. So they're obviously all on the same servers, and obviously their server failed. And so that taught me we need to actively actually back up our email list more often than you think. And I started recommending to all my clients doing it at least twice a year, and I build it into my calendar to remind me to do it
Oh,
because that's the only way we actually own it is if you download it, because otherwise you don't own it.
exactly. And I have those reminders quarterly as well, not by yearly, but quarterly. Uh, and whenever a social media is down, I do that. That is kind of like an extra reminder, just in case.
All right, I'm upping mine to quarterly now. But yeah,
Okay.
I've been telling them twice a year, but I'm going to up it up to quarterly. Along with that's when I recommend everybody check out your ideal client profile to make sure that needs updated. So do it at the same time. Go back up your email list too.
Why not?
Yeah, right on. So our LinkedIn user was Sudhir. um, Scottsdale, Arizona. Thank you for the valuable insights. Megan recommended this live session. Thank you, Megan, for that. Thank you, Sudhir, for letting us know where you came from. We appreciate all of you guys that recommend us and pass us along because we love you having you in the conversation. So we are heading towards the end of the show. What questions do you have for Yuval that you would like to be answered? Go ahead and get them dropped in the comments while we tell you about Yuval. Normally it's another gift, but in this case, it's your how to turn subscribers into your biggest fans. I mean, it's all about your newsletter. This is how you turn them into fans and tell them some about signing up for you, what they're going to get, why they want to sign up, why it's so important. She's one of the only emails I actually read consistently. Just throw that out there.
Okay. Well, let's just put it this way. A lot of my subscribers tell me exactly what Heidi just said. And I can, share a quick teaser about the fact that I've always had a very, very big focus on creating the best inbox experience for my client subscribers and my own subscribers. And tomorrow, I'm going to make that experience at least twice better.
Ooh. Okay.
And if
Just
you want to know how, you need to sign up.
total tease on that one. So I'm going to be looking forward to reading that tomorrow. Everyone, if you are not already subscribed, then do get that way. Let me drop that link for you into the comments. If I'll make sure that, because I know this doesn't go to quite everybody, so we'll make sure we drop it in the comments after the show as well. But there you go. If you aren't subscribed to Yuval's email list, get there. I seriously, guys, I have 8 to 10 emails I read religiously. They rotate here and there, but Yuval's is one of the ones that stays no matter what in my top 5. So
And likewise, Heidi. And it has nothing to do with the fact that we're working on your emails.
thank you. Thank you. I'm definitely making a few changes right now as well. So, and next week, guys, we are going to have Laura Holman join us. We're going to be talking about, and this, we're talking to coaches, but this is going to really work for business owners across the board, because it is to stop calling yourself a coach and stand out by showing what you really do. I mean, even as a marketing strategist, let's dump these generic labels and tell people what you really are doing. Laura's going to be here to help me tell you all about that on the live show next Thursday. So make sure you hit subscribe and get reminders. Don't forget to add to your calendars and join it, because I was getting ready to say it's at the same time next week, but it's actually not for all of you guys in the US, because the daylight savings time has started for the next 3 weeks. If you did not know, all our US clients are now on daylight savings time, and they're only 4 hours from us in the UK right now. So it will be at 5 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Eastern next week, or next 3 weeks, actually. So, Yuval, let's see. What is one last small piece of advice that you definitely want to leave our audience with?
Stop relying on best practices just because this is what your neighbor or your competitor or even your best friend is convinced is working. Because what's working for your audience might not work for another audience, and vice versa. Get curious about your audience, start testing things that actually matter to your brand and to your business, and start making basically, yeah, just think of better practices that are better for you, that are better for your audience, and are better for way more than just these two aspects. And if you don't know how to do that, you know how to reach me.
You know who to talk to. Reach out to Yuval. And guys, I can tell you one way to actually help with what she said. Ask yourself, how many marketing tactics, how many email things are you sending in general that you don't like being used yourself or on yourself? That is one way to already say that your clients probably don't like it either. So that's one way I use it. That's part of how I used to pick my marketing tactics. If I hate it, I'm not going to use it. But I see so many people who do, even though they do hate it. So Deb says, lots of value here today. Thank you, Yuval and Heidi. And thank you for joining us, Deb. We appreciate you too for the questions and the comments. And this is why we do this with you guys. And Yuval, thank you so much for sharing so much gold. There's so much deeper I want to dive into some of these. We may have to have you back again after I pull this one apart, because there were a few areas I feel like we did not go deep enough on, especially on those myths. So
Mm-hmm.
that could, some of them could be a show by themselves. So we might have to
Oh
think
yeah.
about things. So,
Well, thank you for having me again on March. Again, we
I
might
know.
make it into a ritual every March. I'm coming to talk about things that are working or not in email marketing. I think the
I think we
timing,
should.
yeah, and the timing is perfect because it's B Corp month everywhere. I'm a big believer in the B Corp movement and in Gen B. So happy B Corp month to everyone. And again, thank you for having me, Heidi.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you so much to all our audience members. I mean, you are the biggest reasons we do this kind of stuff. Not that, because we have conversations behind the scenes all the time. So to be able to bring them to you, this is where we thrive. I mean, as usual, we are working on giving you more and all that. So thank you so much for bringing your energy, your questions, your thoughts to the conversation. It helps us so freaking much. And for all of you that could not join us live today, please watch the replay, whether it's on LinkedIn or on YouTube, and then drop your biggest takeaway and your questions into the comments with the hashtag replay. We'll make sure we show back up to answer them and just respond in general. And then if you haven't already, I'm just going to remind you, make sure you're following Yuval on LinkedIn, you're on her email list, and make sure you join us again next week, same time, same place. I shouldn't say same time for the US. You're 1 hour later, but I know daylight savings time. I hate it. And thank you all, and we'll see you next week.